Hey there, good day, good people. Welcome to this episode of MCM TV. I'm your host, Leon Carpenter, and today we're here on stage at the Token Lounge in Westland, Michigan with Hugo and the rest of the boys from Tantric. Guys, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Good. All right, I like to always start with introductions, so why don't we start there? Name and what you do.
My name is Hugo. I am the lead singer.
I'm Derek, play guitar.
TJ, I'm the drummer.
I'm Scott, and that leaves me playing bass.
Right on, very good. All right, so let's kind of try and take this in chronological order a little bit. So I want to rewind a little bit. Our website is all about promoting the talent we have here in the D, and it's all about the Motor City musicians. Hugo, you weren't born in Detroit.
I was born in Africa, believe it or not. But so I'm an African American Portuguese guy. But basically, I was, at the time, long story short, I lived in my dad was in the military,
Okay.
and I was born there. And I moved here when I was very, very young. Went to high school in Boston, stuff like that. And right after high school, I thought, I need to go to some place, different. And Detroit seemed like the place to be.
Right.
I love the Detroit's uniqueness. I consider my heart has always been in Detroit.
Right on. How about the rest of you guys? Where's everybody from?
We're
Kentucky?
all of us.
Yeah, everybody's
Kentucky.
Everybody's there now, but were you guys all born down there? I mean, the accents are apparent.
Campbell said.
Yeah.
Right on.
I lived in Nashville for about 3 years, but I'm born and raised and came back home.
Right on. All right. So before we get into deep on the history of putting Tantric together, why don't we take an MCM minute here? Do you guys want to set this up? What might we hear?
Okay, well, I guess the first song that you're gonna hear and maybe watch the video too is a song called Mosquito, and basically it's not a very deep song. It's kind of a song about people just not talking shit behind your back, and it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek type of song. And I had a good friend of mine, Shooter Jennings, sing on it with me, and another few Detroit natives that played on it. Kenny Olson, who is in Kid Rock, and my friend Kevin McCreary, who has been in several bands, also a Detroiter, and it's a pretty good song.
All
I
right.
think so.
Here's Mosquito. We'll see you in 60 seconds.
For goodness sakes, cause you're meaner than a sack of rattlesnakes. Standing on your soapbox talking in, but you won't say shit to me. Well, if you got something to say, well, go ahead and just say it to my face. Please don't hold your tongue, I just want you to say it to my face. Oh, well, I'm standing right here in front of you. I think you have something to say. I didn't think you did, but I bet you will. But when you turn around, well, if you got something to say, well, go ahead and just say it to my face. Please don't hold your tongue, I just want you to say it to my face. Oh, well, I'm standing right here in front of you. I think you have something to say. I didn't think you did, but I bet you will. But when you turn around, walk away.
All right, welcome back. So let's now talk a little bit about some of the influences. When you guys were growing up, who were some of your major influences that maybe got you started in music or that you listened to most? Who had the most impact?
Me personally, I always say this, and I truly mean it. I don't really have a favorite band. I'm a fan of songs, and it doesn't matter which band it is, but I'm a fan of good songwriting more than I am a fan of just one particular band, that I love
makes
everything
sense.
from.
Right on. Now, would it be cliche to assume that since you guys are all from the South, you're big country fans growing up?
That would be incorrect.
That was
Beautiful. Thank you. All right, so
Especially with that.
yeah. So
Can't see that.
all right. So what were your influences then?
Go ahead, TJ.
John Bonham, Led
Yeah.
Zeppelin. Listened to a lot of the stuff my dad was into. Foreigner, Bad
Okay.
Company, Van Halen.
So a classic rock kind of a guy.
Yeah, classic
Man after my
Van
own heart.
Halen,
Right
not
on.
Van Hagar.
No, Van Halen.
Nah, the real thing.
Oh yeah, you were a Van Hagar guy.
Yeah, not a big David Lee Roth fan.
Anybody else want to share some admirations or some
I know that
I
inspirations?
was a big 80s rock guy. Of course, that was my era where I was a teenager and the cool music was hair metal.
Right
so,
on.
you know, I was
Big
huge.
on the LA scene.
Yeah, I was huge on Cinderella.
Nice.
You used to
that
wear
was-
purple capes.
You just can't tell everybody that, though.
Yeah.
You can't just bring that out. But, you know, Cinderella, Dawkins, you know, those guys.
Beast from the East.
There we go. Yeah, huge George Lynch fan. So
Nice. Right on. Cool. Do you guys have any current influences? Like, you guys got a disc that you listen to all the time, or a playlist that?
Vodkas, man.
Vodka.
Oh, you mean a little different?
different kind of influence, man.
Right. See, what I had thought was correct.
All right. So that kind of gives us a little bit of the history and some of the background there. So now let's kind of get into how we got here today. So I want to talk a little bit about the history of getting how we got to this point. So you were here in Detroit.
Yeah.
One of the last projects that you were involved with was Merge.
Yeah, I had Merge, and there was Days of New. They were a separate entity. We were both managed by a company, the same company that was in Southfield, Michigan. And I had a manager named Dan Colucci, and he worked for this guy named Rick Schmidt, and they basically managed both bands. So Merge had played with Days a few times, so I had already
Okay.
met him. And basically, I had packed everything that I owned. I lived in Detroit at that time, and I moved down to Kentucky, you know, just on a whim, and we ended up getting like the third biggest new artist deal in rock and roll history at the time, which kind of is like, you know, was pretty satisfying. And, but basically it wasn't, it was something that was created
Yeah.
from scratch. I mean,
Sure.
initially it wasn't even, the band name wasn't even Tantric, it was called C4.
C14.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, we almost called it Flux Capacitor. It was like, we had horrible names. It was only until, like, the record was done, and we were literally mixing at the record plant, and, like, had the alphabet written. We were just all trying to think of a better name than C14. The label hated it. I hated it. And this chick that worked at the studio that I got to know pretty well was all into tantric meditation and energy, and then we got a bunch of omens, and it just stuck, you know. But
Yeah.
I've always felt like the name doesn't make the band makes the name,
Right.
because all band names are weird until you know Stone Temple Pilots is like 3 different.
Well, they've
things,
got these
but they-
band name generators online now.
Yeah,
You can
I
come up
mean-
with just about anything.
It doesn't matter what the band name is, but I do like the part of it that, you know, is about positive energy, and you know, I think we're a band that tries to like put that out there. You know, we don't take ourselves that seriously. We're not big rock stars. We're people who like to play music. We love what we do, and we're very blessed to be able to make a living at it.
That's fantastic. So how did this lineup meet then?
God's will.
Beautiful.
Well, I mean, you know, I did this record a little differently, and not necessarily on purpose, because I actually wrote the record and recorded it before I found this incredible lineup that I had, and basically I'd known TJ. Did Sean introduce me to you, or was it you introduced me?
Yeah.
It was kind of all weird because, like,
You guys were already all kind of friends down there and knew
no,
each
all
other?
of these guys have known each other. You
Right,
know, I
okay.
only knew one other guy, and I knew TJ, and we had jammed a few times, and we actually did it like kind of a impromptu thing. And really, I couldn't ask for a better group of human beings and players to be on the road with. And I really feel like we haven't even scratched the surface of what this is going to do, but it definitely, the energy of our friendship, which is the most important thing, is the best one that I've ever encountered in any band that I've had. And I truly love and care about all my fellow band members, and, you know, they're incredible players, each and every one of them.
Awesome. Were you guys ever in projects with each other before this?
Scott played in a couple, just like cover bands.
We did he did the Nashville Strip quite a bit, and then when he was living down there,
You were a stripper in
he
Nashville?
was a stripper, and there's another strip. Never mind.
Was he a bartender?
But yeah, he did that deal. I did some strip stuff too, and then we live near the same town, the metropolis of Lexington, Kentucky, and you know, wound up filling in for people or just moshed together bands for cover bands, and you know, when it came time to find a player to put in here, I was like, yeah, Derek's the guy.
Yeah,
It's,
right.
Actually, his mom and dad had a grocery store. When I was 14, I worked there. I didn't know Scott at the time, but I worked for him.
Really?
He tells me that we get on the bus the first time we're going out on the first run. He goes,
Like, I worked at your mama's grocery store.
I work for your mom.
And I'll tell you one thing. Like,
So that's a good story. Yeah.
That is.
being with someone that lives in Kentucky right now and someone who used to live in Detroit, like, I know what people's perception of Kentucky is, but it's completely
From the outside, it's
right.
wrong, isn't
You
it?
know, I just went. Well, there's
Trying to give you the benefit of the doubt here. I don't know where he's going with this one.
No, what I'm saying is,
I'm waiting.
like, you know, the southern accents were always so awkward to me at
Right.
first. And
Right.
I just thought that it was just going to be like Dukes of Hazzard down there 24 hours a day. But and I did
There's
go
nothing
to,
wrong with that.
I did go to Hazard County
There you
one
go.
time just
Yeah.
to see, and it was like way worse than Dukes of Hazzard. but it's, you know, it's Louisville. I love that city because it's just big enough to be a city and small enough to still have, like, you know, a town feel, you know, where
Right.
everybody knows each other. That's why these
Community
guys all
feel.
know each other, and, you know, it was great because they were already played with each other, and it was this band gelled almost like in a month.
That's fantastic.
I think we had 2 weeks to get it together.
I think we rehearsed three
Three
times.
times.
Is that about really?
Before we
Good.
actually started going on the tour. The record was already done and released.
Yeah, we rehearsed 3 times and at Hugo's house, and
In the
we were
basement.
like, "Oh my God, here we go!" So we took.
We were,
and did it.
yeah, we were awesome shitting bricks.
Yeah,
on
we were pretty
this,
freaking
like,
out.
We felt like we were completely unprepared, and we ended up killing it. And then by the third, you know, show that we played, this band just like got so tight, and we're just at the point where it's like symbiotic, you know. Like,
Beautiful.
We read everybody.
I remember the
That's
first
important.
show. At the very end of the show, I look over at Hugo, and he's kind of finishing a song, and he just kind of looks over at me like, "We just got through this. How did we?"
There was,
I mean, it was amazement, and
and that's where my faith in God increased. Even
Trial by fire sometimes.
yeah.
All right, what do you say we take another break here? We're going to take another MCM minute. Do you want to set this one up at all? What are we going to hear this time?
This is the second single from Tantric's new record, 37 Channels, and it's called You Got What You Wanted. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was just about an ex who was, you know, not a very nice person.
All right. Good enough. We'll see you back.
Do you think you're sad? You're thinking as you hold your head down. Do you think I'm mad? Don't you get it here? I'm so over it and everything that I'm supposed to be. Just let me be wrong. You got what you wanted. You got what you needed. But don't ever think that I will understand. I might be alone here, but my love is clear. I do what I do
right, great. Welcome back. So this time we're going to talk a little bit about how about the current label? You guys, it's on Pavement Entertainment now, right?
Yeah, Tantric has been on Warner Brothers since 1999, and now that contract was over, and we were looking for a new label, and Pavement approached us, and Pavement is basically Sony Records. It's a satellite of Sony, and we really, the great thing about that label is it's the CEO is a music lover. He's not just a guy who's in there to just cash in, and he was a musician himself, and it's a really tight knit family, and they've been doing a good job.
Right on. How about endorsements or brand loyalties or anything like that?
Well, our good friends from Mahalo and Fuchs Amps give us guitars. All of the acoustics that I play are Siegels or Godins, and I also am endorsed by Zane guitars and Spectre
Got
basses.
Spectre basses and Music
Nice.
Man. Both those guys give us a lot of good support and killer instruments.
And TJ,
One coming from Nikita Guitars.
Okay,
yeah,
right on.
TJ doesn't have an endorsement yet, just because he hasn't called.
Right. Nice. Well, what are you playing through back here?
I'm using PDP, which is DW,
Okay.
and then of course Zildjian, Roxy's across the top, and then DW 9000 pedals.
TJ is not like one of those drummers that is worried about if shit gets scratched. He kind of just,
He's more
Yeah.
worried about where he's going to get his flax seeds or his sunflower seeds
Right
or
on.
nuts
Yeah.
or trail mix
He's
from.
and the great thing about all these guys is he was a mechanic for Mercedes for a long time. TJ is a carpenter. He just finished building his own house, and Derek's really good at testing beds. All the beds
Maytag.
work because he's in one generally all the
Right.
time.
All right. So since you guys have been touring for a little while now, here let's bring back some memories. What are some of the favorite shows? But be it a venue or just a particular show or anything like that. Reminisce a little bit.
I would
Flint's
say,
always good.
Yeah, Flint, Michigan is probably
Machine Shop.
Really, at the machine shop.
Yeah, well,
right on.
I've got-
I've been
Sure.
playing there for over 20
I bought it
years.
at Kmart.
Yeah.
But the Token Lounge obviously is a very, this
It
place
is
has been around
Oh,
for
it's
a long,
world
long
infamous.
time.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm more of a fan of the audience. It doesn't matter really where you play. You can be playing the Ritz Carlton venues, but you got a boring audience, and it's just such.
There's no energy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The machine shop's always a guarantee.
Yeah,
people come,
they're
rock
ready
out.
to rock,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, and you better bring your game to the machine shop because
Yeah.
they
They hold you to it.
They know the difference. You know what I mean?
Detroit
Detroit knows
people
it.
to us. Too.
Yeah.
The Riff stood by us since the beginning, and our fans here in Michigan. They're our friends, and they are diehards, And Detroiters are like that, They, it's funny because every time you see somebody that's from Detroit, even if you're in Carolina or wherever, they're like, "You're from Detroit? Detroit, 313 or 248?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's,
Well, it's a good segue because obviously we're here on stage. You guys are going to be rocking this place in a couple of hours, and by the time this airs, this show will already be said and done. But you guys are coming back August 9th to play Dirt Fest, which will be up in Birch Run at the Birch Run Expo Center. A little plug for Dirt Fest there. Actually, I think I might be covering that show, so we'll be rubbing elbows again at that point. That's a pretty big show. You guys familiar with what's going on with that, or you guys
I
just
never
here
even
for the
know
ride?
what city I'm in until literally I get there.
That's kind of what I was figuring. Well, let me clue you in a little bit. It's an all-day festival. There's supposed to be 50 bands or so. And when I was looking at the lineup, there's a lot of the old Ozfest.
I love playing
Bands.
festivals though because you get to play them and you get to see bands that
you want to see.
that you want to see.
Yeah.
Right on.
And a lot
Great.
of those bands have been friends of mine. Like the Fuels and Non-Points, and those guys all started when I did. So it's kind of like, hey man, good to see you. How you
Right
been?
on, yeah.
And then you don't see them for years, and you see them, and they're married and they have their kids, and it's cool to see. Like
Everybody
we saw
grows.
Tremonti the other day.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen Mark in a minute, and So it's always good to see. When I saw my friend Brett Scallions from Fuel, they're back on tour too. And
All right, so let's take another break here. We'll take another MCM minute. What track are we going to hear this time?
this is an old song that I wrote a long time ago. That I found one of my hard drives and decided to bring back to life, and it's called "Where Do We Go From Here," which is, I think, to the bar directly behind that
That
camera.
camera there, camera 2.
All right, we're going to go grab a beer. We'll see you back in 60 seconds.
I said, hey little girl, that look in your eye, you never did cry, you never did shed a tear. How does it feel that I'm not there to be the one to take the blame for your complaints, but I refrain from it? And how does it feel that I'm not there? 'Cause I've been hoping, constantly coping, relieving by doping myself. And we've been trying, we are denying. Let's just stop lying to ourselves. So where do we go from here? The future isn't clear. I'll keep on looking up, just open.
All right, welcome back. You just heard the third example off of the album 37 Channels. So let's talk about that a little bit now. My understanding is it was practically a solo project, as you had mentioned earlier, right? It was pretty much done before these guys kind of got involved?
Well, I mean, I've always written a lot of the material, and this one I didn't really have an intention where it was going, but I just was in my basement studio for like a year and a half, and was just in a writing mode, and out of that evolved the record, which I had several different people playing on.
Well, I was going to talk about that next, the collaboration. You had some names on there. We got Austin Winkler, Leif Garrett was on there, and of course, our hometown hero, Kenny Olson.
Kenny Olson.
Kenny, hit me up.
my
I want to have a
boy.
sit down with you sometime.
My boy Kenny, and I had a lot of really awesome guest players. I mean, while we were down I recorded half of the record in my studio, Breakdown Studios, and then the latter part of the record we recorded in Nashville. But it's definitely going to be a lot more fun to do our next record, knowing that we already have this,
Right.
Because, it was kind of very, I was in my little palace of solitude for a long time.
Right on. So the writing process, I mean, you mentioned earlier, 120, 125 songs or so that you whittled down to make this album. Do you have a particular process, or you just sit down and things just start flowing? What is the writing
Well,
process?
37 Channels is referring to like my brain and how it works, and there's a lot going on there. But I just sit down and normally just pick up a guitar, and it'll just start off with a riff, and I'll have my Pro Tools rig, and I really don't know exactly how I do it. It just
kinda happens.
Yeah, I've been doing it for so long that it's very autonomous.
Right. Are you guys already starting to work on new material for the next project, or is it just
We
all
are.
about touring
Yeah,
right now?
We were in the studio last week actually doing some stuff.
Yeah.
Right on. Are we going to hear any of that tonight?
Maybe.
No, it's still a little too early, I guess.
But the thing is, we are making like a deluxe version of this record that's going to come out later on this year. That's going to have some new stuff, and maybe a few of those new songs are going to be songs that we're all definitely playing on it, but that we collaborated in writing. Then for Christmas time, we're releasing like a greatest hits record, and then
Great.
the beginning of next year we'll hopefully have our new record, which is 73 Channels.
Right on. That would be crazy.
What? But speaking of records, the important one that we need to stay focused on is this one, right? 37 Channels.
37 channels.
Please plug RICOME. You can go buy it.
37
Store.
channels.
They
It's available
stores
at
have
Target, right?
No,
Target, Walmart,
Best Buy.
Best Buy.
Best Buy.
Best Buy.
Oh, Best Buy.
Or you could just come to the show, and not only you get the CD, you get to meet all these handsome fellas.
Right on.
We'll sign it for you.
Right on. All right, well, we're just about ready to wrap it up. Do you guys have any maybe acknowledgments or thank yous you want to share with anybody, or Anything we didn't
I'd
cover
like
you
to
want to
thank
tell?
you.
Well, thank you.
And thanks you, Detroit.
Yeah, thanks,
For
Detroit,
us
for having
so
us
many
here.
years. Seriously, buy a record, man. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty
please,
rocking.
man.
All right.
Awesome.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of MCM TV. I'd like to thank these guys once again for sitting down and spending a little bit of time.
Yes.
If you guys can, get out there to Dirt Fest and come see them next time they're in town. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about them, just check out their Facebook page. Just go to facebook.com/tantric. If you'd like to learn a little bit about myself, you can go to facebook.com/Leon Carpenter Fans. And as always, please visit MotorCityMusicians.com. You'll see other interviews such as this one here. There's a forum on there. There's a calendar of events. And there's even a YouTube button that'll take you to the YouTube channel where you can see extended versions of these videos. So for MCM TV, till next time, I'm Leon Carpenter. Keep the music alive.
See you.
In your life, you seem to have it all. You seem to have control, but deep within your soul, you're losing, yeah. You never took the time, assume that you're to blame. You think that you're insane, won't you spare me? I know the breakdown, everything is gonna shake now someday. I know the breakdown, tell me again, am I awake now? Maybe you can find the